Opportunity waits for no one. The village of Windermere lay tucked beneath the Silverstone Hills, where the land was as hard as iron and the skies rarely changed season. No one chose to live in Windermere. They came because they had nowhere else to go. The main livelihood there was digging dry earth, backbreaking, dusty work, and few ever got rich from it. Among the villagers was a man named Malik, who lived alone in a small wooden shack about a mile from town. Every morning, he awakened to the creaking of a wooden wheel, guiding his old mule Rosie along the dirt path to the hillside. Day after day, he shoveled earth into a cart and hauled it to the town market to sell as planting soil or foundation filler. Malik's life was dull but peaceful. He never complained. He was used to simplicity. Malik had no grand dreams like the younger men who often talked of leaving the village, getting rich, or starting a new life in the city. All he wanted was enough to eat, enough to wear, and to keep Rosie healthy. One early autumn morning, under low-hanging clouds, Malik began digging as usual. When his shovel struck something harder than soil, he paused. Digging more carefully, he unearthed a sparkling stone, a glimmer of sunlight caught in the red earth. He lifted it to his eye, wiping off the mud. The stone, about the size of his palm, emitted a strange inner light. But Malik only shrugged. "Might be quartz," he muttered, then pulled a string from his pack and tied the stone around Rosie's neck like a lucky charm. That afternoon, as Rosie pulled the cart through the main street after market, a man named Mr. Graham was wiping down the scale in his old grocery shop. Graham was the only person in town who had gone to college, but after years of failure in the city, he had returned to sell meat, salt, and count coins behind the counter. By chance, he looked up and noticed the stone around Rosie's neck. "Malik, that's a fine-looking trinket," Graham called out. Malik stopped. "No idea what it is. Dug it up this morning. Looked nice, so I hung it on Rosie to make her less ugly." Graham stepped out, took the stone in hand. In the sunlight, it gleamed like frozen fire trapped in glass. He couldn't be sure of its worth, but instinct told him it wasn't ordinary. "Sell it to me for 50 coins?" he offered quickly. Malik frowned. 50? It's just a rock." "Sure," Graham smiled, "but it'll look good hanging on my scale, like a decoration." Malik nodded. For him, 50 coins meant a day's wages without sweat. He unfastened the rope and handed over the stone. Graham brought it into his shop and hung it from the large wooden scale like a tiny golden weight. Customers noticed its shimmer. Children poked at it. Adults asked questions, but no one knew what it really was. Until one afternoon. A traveler from the next town, Edwin, a seasoned jeweler, happened to stop by after delivering an order. He entered Graham's shop for bread and dried tea. The moment he saw the stone, he froze. "Mr. Graham," he asked, "do you know what that stone is?" "Just a decoration. Bought it off Malik the miner." "No, you don't understand. That's a raw diamond, a rare one. I've never seen a natural gem so pure." "Really?" Graham raised an eyebrow, but kept a neutral face. "I'll buy it. 80 ons." "Deal?" Edwin reached for his wallet. Graham narrowed his eyes. "You say it's rare, yet offer 80? Edwin waved it off. "Suit yourself. I'll be back tomorrow, but think it over." And he left. Graham looked at the stone, feeling proud of his deal with Malik. But he didn't know. Opportunity never waits twice. That evening, just as rain began to fall, another man, Victor, also a jeweler but wealthier, faster and bolder, entered the village after his horse cart broke down. He stopped at Graham's store for lamp oil and water. The moment he stepped in, his eyes locked on the stone. "I want that stone. How much?" 100 coins, Tao. Graham replied without hesitation. No bargaining, no hesitation. Victor pulled out the money, set it on the counter, and took the diamond. He left before Graham had time to rethink. The next morning, Edwin returned. "I'll pay 90. I've decided." Graham chuckled. "Too late. Someone paid full price." Edwin's eyes widened. "You don't understand. That gem is worth thousands. You let it go." Graham shrugged. "Maybe, but I didn't know. You did, and still haggled over 20, so who's the fool?" News of the stone spread through Windermere in days. People whispered that Graham sold a priceless gem for just 100 coins. His shop grew busier, not with buyers, but with gawkers wanting to see the man who let treasure slip away. Some sneered, some mocked. But Graham worked as usual, weighing grain, slicing meat, pouring oil. Perhaps he knew what he missed, but he showed nothing. The only person whose presence gave him pause was Malik. One gray afternoon, as wind stirred dust along the road, Malik entered the shop for salt and some vegetable seeds. He said nothing of the stone, just paid and gave his usual faint smile. Graham watched him go, feeling something twist inside. "Mr. Malik," he called out, "did you know that stone was a diamond?" Malik stopped. Silence. "I suspected," he said without turning. "Then why sell it to me for 50?" Malik looked up at the gray sky, then back with calm eyes. "I had no tools to confirm it, no trustworthy buyer, no time to wait. I had an old mule and a broken shovel. That 50 paid for dinner and feed for Rosie." Graham had no reply. "It's not the stone's value that matters," Malik added. "It's whether someone recognizes it and knows when to use it." He walked away, hunched against the dusk wind, leaving Graham still beneath the shop awning. A month later, Graham cleared out the back of his store, once a dream antique section. He wiped the dust from the old wooden table, reset the oil lamp on the shelf, and for the first time in years, began cataloging items he thought might hold hidden worth. Losing the diamond woke him up, not because he wasn't smart, but because he wasn't ready to recognize value when it came. He began reading about gemstones, enrolled in mail courses on antique appraisal, and quietly saved to open a small exhibit inside the store. No buyers yet, but he had learned a deep truth. Opportunity doesn't test your intelligence, it tests your readiness. As for Edwin, he never spoke of the diamond again. But every time he passed through Windermere, he avoided looking at Graham's store. Regret has a long shadow. And Victor, the buyer? He took the diamond to the city, had it certified, and sold it for 300 times the price. He never returned. He offered no thanks, no stories. Maybe because he knew such chances don't come twice. Years later, a young apprentice at Graham's now famous antique shop asked, "Sir, do you ever regret selling that diamond?" Graham smiled, gazing out the window where the breeze moved gently past wooden shelves. "No, because if not for that mistake, I'd never have learned what I needed to." And Malik? The once simple man no longer dug earth. But in the garden behind his home, he grew organic vegetables, which he sold to Graham's shop each morning. And every time he was paid, he smiled and said, "Money's just a stone, if you don't know how to use it." 3 lessons from the story. Opportunity waits for no one. Wisdom isn't knowing everything, it's acting when the chance arrives. Don't bargain with fate. Sometimes we lose priceless things for the sake of small savings. Always be prepared. You never know what tomorrow holds, but if you're unprepared, you'll miss what matters most.